Okay, okay. Let me see if it's going to work. Bear with me here, Dennis. YouTube, I think, has pulled some funny stuff. Okay, they have. They have. Okay. Hold on a second. All right, guys, I'm just going to hold here while I transfer you guys all over to this. This one. Oh, wait. Stream started? Let me see here. Let me see. No. Okay. For some reason, it's not picking up. Hold on. Okay. Lisa's Life, Gray Phoenix Heart 111. Can you guys hear me? Vaporama, are you guys getting this stream? Okay, it started. Okay, so you're here. All right, just had some technical difficulties with YouTube. They took away my opportunity to stream on the other one. Can you guys go back to the other chat and link this video for me in the chat so that everyone knows where to go? That would be great. Thank you so much. Okay, awesome. Okay, so guys, and Dennis, I think you're still muted. But I am so excited to do this show for you guys. So excited. I have had a very synchronistic, serendipitous, I guess, event that happened to me in Sedona in October when I was there with actually a few of you who are in the live chat. And through that serendipitous encounter of meeting Matthew, who I had on my podcast, he introduced me to Dennis in December to help me out with a certain situation, which we're going to actually talk about today. I think one of the things that many of us are realizing is that given the certain political climate that we're all faced with, that no one's here to save us, and we are the ones who are going to have to do all the work. And I think many of you, and of course I was disheartened as well when the event turned out the way it did. But at the same time, I've said to you all many times that I feel that it was actually for the better, in a sense that it's activated many of us to realize that there is no one else but us to do it. And I think it is the only way that it could be done in order to prevent this from ever happening again. So please let me welcome Dennis Knill, who is the state coordinator for Arizona under the state's assembly in America. Welcome, Dennis.
Well, thanks for having me on.
It's so great to have you here. You are just a wealth of information, a wealth of knowledge. And I think that, a lot of people have a lot to learn from you. Oh, I'm hearing like a TV or something.
That's why I keep muting.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, we're going to work with what we got, and the information is going to be powerful, guys. So hang tight. Please, I ask for your patience through all of this. There's so much information that Dennis is going to give us on how we can all find our way back to the land and soil, which he's going to explain why this is important. Reclaim your own sovereignty and start exercising your God-given rights and your freedom. So Dennis, let's get into all of this because there is a lot of stuff to go over here. And would you like to explain to everyone in the audience how you may have used to be a U.S. citizen, but now you're a U.S. national, and why that's so important?
Sure. Everyone that is born in America is, when they're just before they're born, they are born on the land and soil. But as your mother signs the birth certificate, you become a dead entity. You become a corporation. All capital printing on your birth certificate. It's written on bond paper. That's bond. And you become a chattel or a slave for the corporations of the United States of America. All right. So the first thing we have to do is renounce all of that, because as an American citizen, you have no rights. You cannot own any property. You get, you say, well, I've got a deed. Yeah, but it's a tenant deed. That means you can only rent it. You can't own it. But when you become an American national, we go through a process that Ron Gibson does, and you get your land patent, which takes it all the way back through the title searches to the original patent. And then you no longer have to pay property taxes. And when you become an American national, you don't have to pay any taxes unless you're a federal employee. They're the only ones that have to pay taxes. Even as an United States citizen, they don't have to pay taxes, because taxes are voluntary. That's even in the IRS code. So, but when you become an American national, you are taught these different things of what is going on, because American nationals are on the land and soil. We are the original owners of the United States of America, and that's the way it was back in 1776. Then the corporations took over and they usurped on us drastically, and now we'll look at what we have today. They control everything. They tax the living daylights out of us. They don't let us own property. They, pull you over for, expired tags, or you were doing this or doing that. They just make things up and put you in jail for it. Why? Because it's their system of you being a slave and them being the boss. And all of those rules and regulations and statutes are corporate law. When you become an American national, none of that applies to you, because we are American nationals of the United States of America, unincorporated. So we own all of the different corporations. And Anna just found out that none of the corporations have a valid charter. So they all have to come back to the land and soil on the public land through the lawful government, and they have to deal with us, the American people. It's we the people, and everything's supposed to be working from the people on up, and the government is supposed to be working for us. The police department, everything is supposed to be working for us. We have the voice in the whole matter. They don't. They're supposed to be listening to us.
Yes. And for everyone in the audience, please stick around, because this doesn't just apply to Americans. I was listening to one of Anna's Zoom chats, I think it was last week, and she was explaining how, I think we're going to get into this, but I don't want to jump too far ahead of me. I want all of you to know that there are nations who are doing this exact same thing all across the world. This is not just an American thing. However, there is an importance of why this is happening here in America right now, and how the land recording offices, and the ones specifically that we have that's now becoming computerized and is uploaded to the public record for anyone to see, is important in helping all of you other nations out there. Okay, so we're going to get into that, but first, let's get into the fact that no matter if you are a U.S. citizen, no matter what you think you can fight for, you can't. You can't win in their system because you're owned. And nothing applies to you because you're not even under American law. You're either working under the Queen or the Lord Mayor of London, or you're working under the Pope. Or the government, which is a foreign entity because it's an incorporation. Either way, you're not governed by anyone on the land and soil. So this is important information to understand, that no matter what you think you can fight in this system, you cannot as a U.S. citizen. You have no rights. So can we go into breaking it down for everyone, how this all started? This was around the Civil War that this all kind of started to shift and change, with the Pope kind of basically playing both sides. But can you take everyone and through the municipal and the territories and what all that means?
Sure. The municipal is owned by the Pope. He actually owns everything. All right. The Queen takes care of the territorial, but the Pope owns the municipal. However, the municipal government on, well, as everyone saw, November 3rd was the election for the President of the United States. That corporation went bankrupt, liquidated on November 5th. So whoever won the election on November 3rd was president of nothing on November 6th. All right. So they're all playing a game. It's all a charade. And they're just, trying to keep usurping on us and keeping us as slaves. And you're absolutely right. United States citizens have no guarantees. They have no rights. They have nothing, not even the Constitution. And if you go against those corporations, you are considered a terrorist. I don't know if you saw this, but I got a video the other day or yesterday or the day before that, are you ready for this? The Democrats declared the Republican Party a terrorist organization. So it's like that, and when they blame somebody for something, they're guilty of it.
Yes.
So, so it's a war between them, but none of that concerns us because we're American nationals. Okay, so we can close them down, but we need the people to be doing the voice and backing everyone up. And once we get back to that, the way it was supposed to be, we will have a government of, for, and by the people. And we make the decisions, not the corporations.
Yes, and I think it's important for everyone to know that this is the system that's already in place and it's already been running for years now. And Anne von Reitz, who has spearheaded this whole movement because she's inherited basically America through her husband, correct? That she's been able, and is she a justice?
Yes, yeah. They call her Judge Anna, but she is a justice, yeah.
Okay. So her legal mind is so sharp. Just listening to her, she knows the law inside and out. You can't get anything past this woman. And she has built it into this entire system. So to make sure that everyone is very well protected. And the reason why I'm saying this is because this system's already in place. However, there are other ones that are fronting as state nationals or U.S. nationals. So can you go into that a little bit before we go into more so that people understand that there are fraudulent systems that are popping up trying to take advantage and steer people away from actually going through the right channels?
Right. And the reason they're doing that is because, the debt, the $163 trillion in debt, that belongs to we the people. That's why all these other groups and their municipal and territorial groups, which are called district assemblies, they're trying to build up people to fleece them more, okay, by promising them the world, and they can't do anything, and they'll be held as terrorists because it's an insurrection act. You cannot go being a United States citizen against the United States corporation. It's terrorism. So, and that's why, what the thing on February 6th, I believe it was, that they started, arresting militia members and so on like that when they were backing them up all along before, because they're U.S. citizens. And we've been trying to get some of these militia people to learn the difference between the two jurisdictions. When you're in the jurisdiction of the land and the soil, we are the lawful people on the land. It is the common law. It was built in 1776.
So, okay, let's actually go over that so everyone understands. If you're a citizen and not a national, you are under the law of the sea, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And all attorneys work under the law of the sea, not the law of the land and soil.
Right. They work for the Queen,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not there to protect you in court. They're there to fleece you as fast and as often and as much as they can. So, but we do have, like Anna has the living law firm, but all of those lawyers have torn up their bar cards. The bar cards, it's like a club for attorneys. Okay, and they're taught one thing: rip off the American people as much as you possibly can, because if not, you don't get paid, and you'll be looking for a new job. Judges are the same way.
So the Pope owns everything, basically owns everyone who's a citizen, and that's under the municipal. That's considered
Corporations,
municipal
yeah.
corporations. Okay,
Yep,
then the Queen is under territorial corporations.
right,
Okay. So, and then the government is just considered a foreign entity as its own corporation. So,
right.
where what the pyramid looks like, guys, right now is that we the people are at the bottom of the food chain when we're supposed to be the employers. As a US citizen, you'll never be an employer, you'll always be an employee because you're owned, you're traded, you're registered. The only way that you become the employer and at the top of the food chain is if you revert your status back to land and soil so you're protected and you are no longer under their jurisdiction. Okay, I need to make that very, very clear. So, can we go into how this, just a little bit of quick history for people on how this started, because they're supposed to be contracted workers under us and work for us.
Correct.
So how did this all happen with the Pope and the Queen, and how does that all work?
Well, the Pope was playing both sides, and the Queen was too, of the Civil War. And the Civil War wasn't between the North and the South. It was between corporations in the North and corporations in the South. So the Pope and the Queen both had bets on who was going to win, and they were backing both sides. So I think the whole thing then was just the ploy to make American citizens slaves. So they made them United States citizens. Okay, and then they freed the slaves with their 14th Amendment, but they included everyone in the United States because they stated that every person born in America is a United States citizen. And nobody knew none of the wiser, so they all, they didn't really agree to it. They didn't know what it meant. So they go, oh, okay, that's great. Yeah, we live here in America. All right, we're United States citizens. Little did they know they were being owned by a corporation.
Mm,
And that's how it all started.
okay, so let's go into the Corporations Act of 1870 and what that means for all of these corporations now, and how they're actually all fraudulent. They're all running on a completely fraudulent system. None of it is legal. Can you talk about that for everyone?
Sure. They see a corporation is a dead entity. Okay. So they made up their corporate laws and their corporate statutes to fleece everybody and to make them corporations. That's what they did with the birth certificate, so they could own you. Because people can't own people, that's slavery. So they did it another way through the corporations, and they got everybody together, and they worked out their little tricky deals and so on like that, and made everybody United States citizens. And that's why everyone is, until you change your status back to American national, and that is through the 1779 Declaration and two witness forms and a copy of your birth certificate, and you're good to go.
Okay, so we'll get into that very shortly, guys, on what you need to do if you're an American citizen, what the process is for you. And then we'll also get into all of those of you watching from different countries, how you can get involved, and who you need to be connecting with. So that basically means that all these corporations are fraudulent because they were never chartered. They don't have a charter because we, the people, are supposed to charter them, right?
Correct. And the way they did it was one corporation started actually Congress, okay, because they were already a corporation, and a corporation can't charter another corporation. Only the people of the country can give out charters. So when a company's doing bad, like Monsanto or the United States in the United States of America, we can pull their charters, or they can change their minds and work the way they're supposed to be, or we pull the charters and liquidate them. And that money, they are held personally and professionally, financially responsible. So all that money comes back to we, the people, when they are liquidated.
Okay. Now, just to kind of touch back on something that you mentioned, you said that the corporation, I think it was the president of the United States, is liquidated, right? It's no longer. What
It
does that
doesn't
mean, though?
exist.
It
Yeah.
doesn't exist. Okay, because there's a lot of information going around about this, and people think, oh, well, then everything's fine now. We're good. Can you explain how that's not exactly so?
Well, it's not exactly so because that corporation doesn't exist anymore. So, and that's one of the reasons why most of the people are not in the White House, because it belongs to the people. Okay. So the corporation, the United States, which, Biden's supposedly president of, um, it no longer exists. So he doesn't exist. The position doesn't exist. Neither does Congress or the Senate, because they're all corporations. In the beginning, it wasn't like that. People volunteered for those positions. Now they're paid, and they were never in session all the time. It was only supposed to be in session when something dire came up, or some kind of commerce had to be made, or something had to be done with this or with that. And then they would go back to their regular normal jobs, and they would be paid for their time, while serving in the Senate or the Congress. But no, these guys made it a full-time career, these politicians, and they all make 175,000 a year, but they're all multimillionaires. And why is that? Because of all the shady deals that these corporations are doing behind the scenes and not telling anybody about.
Yes, yes. And thank you, Mark, for that super chat. It's very kind of you. Thank you. So let's go into this idea of this is a big thing that I don't think a lot of people understand. What is to gain? Because, when I was talking to you that first evening on the phone and you were telling me all this, and even when Matthew told me on the phone as well, like, hey, I think I found this information and I'm talking to this guy, Dennis, and you need to talk to him. My first instinct was, it's too easy and it's too good to be true. Like that's the first thing that we initially think. And I wouldn't blame anyone in the audience if that's kind of running through your mind right now. There's a program running in all of us because we're so enslaved and we've been so programmed to realize that everything has to be hard and everything has to be difficult and everyone's against us, that there's no way that this could actually be this simple. And so first, let's just let everyone know who's an American citizen what all they need to do in order to reclaim their status back to land and soil as a U.S. national.
Okay, as a U.S. national, all you have to do is go to the website, which is the AmericanStatesAssembly.net, and go to chart your course and look up the paperwork. There's two forms of paperwork. There's what we call the 928s, which were the original documents that Anna had drawn up years ago. And there were 6 documents that you had to do. And we were all doing that, but and we could only record them in the county courthouses. And when it first started off, they were about $30 for the 6 sets. Then they went up to 90. Then they went up to 180. Then they went up to 275. Then they quit recording. Okay, so excuse me 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. But so Anna, knowing that the county recorders wouldn't record anybody back on the land and soil, even though it was their job and they were in dereliction of duty, we couldn't do anything about it. So she started her own recording system, which is now called the Land Recording System. So what we do is we fill out those paperwork, the 928s, like I said. You can do those, but it takes a while, and there's 6 documents. You can either do those, or you can do the one-pager, which is a 1779 declaration, and 2 witness forms, and a copy of your birth certificate. Or you can do both sets.
Okay, so can you do the one pager and then eventually do the six pager later on?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so if you
Uh-huh.
want to just get started and get yourself secure, safe, protected, get all your rights back, then all you guys have to do is fill out this one pager. You need two witness forms by someone who's known you for 7 years, two different witnesses, and can verify, like verify that you were born there and everything that's on your birth certificate, and then the copy of your birth certificate. And you go to your state recorder, okay, whatever state you're in, and I believe it's, what is it, $25?
It's $25 to record into the land recording system. You go into their system and you fill out a profile, and then the recorder uploads those documents, and then they'll call you or email you and say that you're published, and it goes on the public blockchain publishing, which is worldwide. And then after that, we call you and say, now you can order your credential card. So we basically have like a diplomatic immunity card, because that card looks like a driver's license, and it says what state you were born on, your picture, and your right red thumbprint, because that is your actual autograph. If you're pulled over for some dumb traffic violation or something, they run your card and it says "Do not detain, American state national or American state citizen."
Okay, there's like so many there. Okay, guys, there's so many perks to this that you wouldn't even understand. Like, you almost feel like, how is this even possible? And again, it'll always take you back to that, like, this sounds too good to be true. Now, first of all, how many Americans are actually U.S. nationals right now to this day?
Okay, well, it's growing and growing. About a year ago, Anna was putting her posts on Facebook, but since then, they started censoring her and everyone else. And the last post that, well, not the last one, but before the last one, she put in there that over 30 million people have corrected their status. So it's probably about 35 million, maybe 40 million by now.
Wow, that's amazing. So we're basically at 10% of the country has gone back to the land and soil. This is so important, guys. If there's anything that you are thinking about, how can I help? How can I help the country? How can I help my own country, whatever country you're in? This system is so well structured. And I mean, the law has been fine tooth combed by Anna. Like, she knows exactly what's up. And but becoming a U.S. national, though, comes with responsibility. And I think this is the biggest lesson for all of us. We all got ourselves into this mess because we've become too complicit, we've become complacent, and we've become too convenienced. We want our conveniences and we want someone else to do things for us. And that can't happen anymore. Those days are over. So when you become a U.S. national, this is a self-governing system. We all govern one another, like you govern self, which means it comes with a lot more responsibility. Can you go over the laws that exist for the U.S. nationals? Because I mean, as a citizen, there's so many laws, you can't even keep track of any of them.
Yeah, I believe there's like 585,000 different laws and statutes or something like that. But yeah, as an American national, you have the responsibilities to do what is correct, do what is right. We harm no one. We live in peace, and we are here to help each and every one of us, because each and every one of us are the law of the land. So yes, it does come with responsibility. If you see somebody doing something, driving drunk or getting into a car drunk, stop them. Don't let him go and do that, because if he does run into somebody and kill him, he's held responsible for getting in that car, getting drunk and killing somebody. And he will be, he'll be in prison the rest of his life, or be, firing squad. It's just the way it is. It's common law, common sense.
Common law, common sense. And I believe it's basically like the 10 Commandments of the Bible.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Okay, so which makes it very simple and easy to understand here, guys. So, guys, I will make sure that you have the links to get to the one pager and all of that. So let's also Now you become a U.S. national. You get your national your card. That's your verification, your identification,
Correct.
and on it it says "Do not detain."
Correct.
Okay, how does that apply in practical living? Like,
It's
give us
just
a.
it's just like your driver's license.
Uh huh.
Um, when you become an American national, you also don't have to pay taxes because taxes are coming from a corporation, and that's what the corporations want you to do is to pay their taxes for them. That's why they say April 15th, you got to file your taxes and pay them because they don't want to pay them. They want to make you pay them because you are a corporation of theirs. All right. So yeah, the benefits are just phenomenal because um, you're living free. You're living free. You're self-governing. If you want things to change, you talk to the people in your area. If you want, to whatever discuss something. If somebody wants to come in and put a building there, and the people get together and say, no, I don't think that would be a good idea to put a big factory in the middle of cornfields or whatever. The people around there say, no, it's done and over. That's it. There is no representative. There's no kickbacks. There's no money going back and forth saying, oh, well, if you do this, we'll give you that. No. Okay, it's the responsibility of the people, for the people, and by the people. And we run the country.
Yeah.
So with the new way, we're up at the top and the government's down at the bottom.
Yes.
Yeah,
And you are working on getting your own passport system so that we have our own passports as U.S. nationals, correct?
correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So
And our own banks and so on like that,
okay.
credit unions. Yeah.
That's amazing. So all it's basically, guys, when you guys think because a lot of my audience here is spiritual and we talk about the new earth, this is literally the structure that we're all looking for because as U.S. nationals, we're looking to have our own banking systems, our own trade schools, our own health systems, our own wellness centers, all of that. This is the opportunity to be protected and start building it from the ground up in the way that we've always envisioned it and coming together and working together. It's the most perfect layout for all of us to finally start doing all the things that we've been talking about for years. Now, the problem is that we have to get over this battered wife syndrome that I think kind of comes up when we're like, oh, but if I leave my citizenship, I'm going to lose this, then I'm going to lose that. And it's like, you don't lose anything. You only gain. And I was scared as well. I'm like, what do you lose? Like, what, will I be able to do this? Maybe I'm not ready to give up this. And it's crazy because your citizenship is literally your enslavement. There's no other ways around it. It's your enslavement. So you either want to be free or you want to still have this idea that being enslaved still gives you benefits. And it's just, I don't know how else to liken it to what battered wife syndrome.
Exactly. So if you want to still, be a couch potato and watch housewives of whatever county sit there and get to 600-pound piece of whatever, you can do that, but you'll be an American, a United States citizen, and you know we don't want anybody like that because we want people with responsibility that
Mm-hmm.
are going to help each other out instead of just being a couch potato and live off of the government. So when the American nationals were back in charge of the government, there won't be any of that because
No.
everybody's got their own responsibilities to do what they're supposed to do. Everybody's got a calling in life,
Yeah.
to do what they were called here to do, put here, to do what they're supposed to do.
Absolutely, absolutely. And thank you, Matthew and Corinna, for the super chats. Matthew in the chat there is the one who introduced me to Dennis, and Matthew's the one who had that amazing Sedona synchronicity. And I'm telling you guys, this whole thing has been divinely orchestrated. And the message that keeps coming through is community, community, community. It's so important for us to keep building our communities from the local levels up. Like we need to get back to working with one another from that local standpoint. Now, there's another thing here that's incredible that everyone's going to be shocked about. Now, as you have your birth certificate and you get your social security or whatever, you're traded you're traded through under a lot of corporations, and they're making money off you, and it's your money Can you go into some of that and let people know what they get when they become U.S. national?
Okay, yeah. As soon as you're born, your birth certificate number and your baptismal number, all of that is traded because you are a corporation at that point. So you are traded and your numbers, hold on one second. Okay, so sorry about that. You are traded on the stock markets through these corporations. And when you look up your numbers, I forget what the website is, but some people have 600 to 800 corporations that are using your number to profit off of. Okay. So, and if some of those corporations are doing very bad things for mankind and our environment, whatever, we can start liquidating them. All right. Get them out of there and, take the money and give it back to the people where it's needed. I lost you. I don't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me right now? Yeah.
Yes.
So the only way that we do that, though, is by everyone coming together. The more people that come into the U.S. nationals, the more that we start working together. We work through our court system. We work through common law, which means
Correct.
we file everything through our court systems, not the ones that are under the sea jurisdiction. It's land and soil jurisdiction.
Correct. Yes.
And the jurors are all of us.
Exactly. And they're the ones that actually decide the case. The justice is just there to keep the courtroom in order, and the jurors actually put on the prosecution and the defense, and they ask the questions, and none of this flim flam stuff where, oh, that's not allowed, even though the guy had robbed people 20 times, that it's not allowed in court. No, everything comes out, everything is put there, and it's up to the jurors.
So basically, we get stronger by having more numbers. The more numbers it's a numbers game, guys. It's not that it doesn't work already, but the more that we have, the faster this thing falls. Okay, the faster this, basically, this is how we collapse the matrix. This is how we collapse the system, is by bringing everyone back home to land and soil. Okay, that it's important. You are coming back home because right now you're under the Queen, you're under the Pope, you're under like foreign entity corporations. You are a slave, literally a slave, and you are considered a commodity. You are literally considered a commodity, so you have no rights. Now, can we kind of go into? I love, you know what I want to just say really quickly, because I was listening to Anna's Zoom call the other day, and she said that giving up your U.S. citizenship is like giving up chocolate covered horse poop. And I thought that was really funny because it looks really nice on the outside, but inside it's just a steaming pile of poop. So we basically, we are reclaiming your true identity as an American. Because right now, you are just a U.S. citizen. You are not actually an American.
That is correct. Yeah, you're a corporate entity as a United States citizen. So yeah, you claim back the land and soil and your lawfulness and your person.
Okay. Now there are other entities that are trying to do this, and they're trying to make it easier, more streamlined, faster. And I guess I heard Anna mention the 3141 efforts to populate all counties before actually going through the state, and it'll never work. And so, guys, I just want you guys to be aware that there are other people out there, entities that are trying to do this in a different way, and they don't understand the laws. They don't understand how they're actually putting people in harm, including themselves. And the only way that you can go back to your true identity is to go back the way it all happened, where you got out. So if you're at sea, you have to go back through state and then county. You cannot go sea, county, state. All right. It's really important that you guys understand that. And I would not go to any other websites other than the ones I've listed under here that also will link you to other sites. Those are the only people you want to be dealing with, because doesn't the government also trying to convince people that they're becoming state nationals, calling them state nationals, and they're not?
Absolutely. Yeah. And they're all U.S. citizens. And the reason they're doing that is to slow us down because they know they're in trouble when we are plentiful, like 100 million people. Then we will control what's going on. And yeah, they're trying to stop us any way they can. And they're even putting money behind it, our money. Okay, fleecing people again, putting them into district assemblies, not the United States of America unincorporated. That's who we are, because we own all of the charters and all of the corporations. And if they don't play ball with us, then they don't get to operate and they become liquidated. So yeah, that's what we got to do. The better, the faster. We will all live in peace and harmony and have abundance.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's kind of get into land offices and understanding how the corporations knew that the only way they could basically seal their fate in the direction that they want it to be was to close all land offices, all land office recording places. And so they've, over the last couple of years, they've actually, through all countries, been closing down all of these land recording offices. And it was before the pandemic. And it was basically to prevent people in all countries from recording back to their own land and soil. However, in the US, because Anna started her own land recording system, the LRS, and it's all computerized, so it goes right into the public record. Anyone from any country can pull it up and see that you are a US national under there. That has actually helped everyone in all countries.
Absolutely. Yeah. In fact, yeah, as you were saying before, it isn't only happening here in the United States. All the countries are facing the same situations and even worse. So, with the land recording system, it is worldwide. This problem is worldwide. And right now, on the land recording system, we have 6 other countries already jumping on, getting their people enrolled into the land recording system and putting themselves back on the land and soil. And it's
So,
happening really quick.
okay, so basically, land and soil is international because it's the earth. and
Exactly.
and so that means that her land recording system, because it's uploaded to the public, that basically all of that applies to every other country. The only difference is that each country has its own laws, and you need to know your own history. So although there's going to be a lot of similarities to what the US is doing right now, there will be some differences in your own law. So, for instance, the UK, anyone who's under the crown, like Canada, Australia, any of those countries, will all want to go back to English law. Is that correct?
Yes, and the way it was, hundreds of years ago. Like in England, I saw a video today that 2 guys were arrested because they were walking through a park talking with each other without masks on. And they were arrested and thrown in jail and put before the magistrate, and the magistrate fined them. Okay, so they, were showing the protest that they can't even have free speech because the governments are so corrupt, the police are so corrupt, they just keep on going. So the people are standing up there in the UK right now too.
So okay, we didn't mention this part. So when you record your identity back to land and soil, okay, you put everything back to land and soil, your body is now private property. It's yours, which means they can't do vaccines. They can't force vaccines on you. They can't take your children away from you. They can't. There are a lot of things there are a lot of things that protect you from all of this now because you are no longer a commodity under the corporation.
Correct. As an American national, yeah, they can't make you wear a mask. They can't give you vaccines. They can't give you a curfew. Even the president of the United States, when it was operational, even during an emergency, could not issue a mask mandate. But here Biden's doing it. Now he wants you to wear 2 masks. Okay, that just shows you that he has no clue what's going on whatsoever, and they're trying to take full advantage of us. But as an American national, we know better, and they just can't do it because we're in two total different jurisdictions. They have no say-so over us.
And would they also be prevented from preventing you from flying and traveling? Would you still be able to travel without having the vaccine?
As an American national, yeah,
Yeah.
because they
Yeah.
can't stop you from doing any of that.
Okay. Okay. So perfect. So there's a lot of benefit. Now, there's also another big benefit here too, that if when you are recorded on Back to Land and Soil, that if you have, say, a mortgage or a car loan or student debt, that you can actually apply to have your credit that is being used by the system to be applied to your lien. Is that correct?
Yes, it's in the works. Right now, what we have is a system called Sign in America.
Mm-hmm.
So when you become an American national, you go to signinamerica.com, and any bill that you have, whether it's car, mortgage, credit card, student loans, whatever, you fill out a form with the Sign in America coordinator for the state, and they submit those bills to the IRS. Now, we all know the IRS is really, really slow when they want to be. All right. So they're being really, really slow because they don't want to pay that money back. All right. Because they work on commissions. So the less money they give out, the more they get to keep. All right. So because it's so slow, Anna found out another way through the Federal Reserve. And that paperwork is being implemented now. They're getting all the forms ready, and it's supposed to happen like within 2 weeks. So any mortgage or whatever, you just put that information on there, you turn those papers in, and in 2 weeks your house is paid for.
That's crazy. Like that and can you just let everyone know that as US citizens what they're worth? Approximately. I mean, approximately.
It's hard to tell. Most people, because of their heritage and their parents and their grandparents and everyone that has lived here in the United States, and not knowing that they were U.S. citizens, have all been swindled, and all that money has been accumulating. And with all those corporations using your numbers as to make money and benefits off of, that money has been piling up. So each American national is worth probably several $100 million.
Wow. Okay. So there's a lot. There's a lot there to apply to all that you need, and so is this also open to? This isn't just to U.S. citizens here in America. It's also to people who've maybe hold visas or are legal immigrants. Can you also talk about that?
Yeah, it happens the same way with the immigrants and so on like that, because the same situation has happened in every country in the world. They're all on the same game plan. Wherever you are in the world, it is happening the same exact way. Yeah, some of your laws are different and so on like that, but yeah, it's the same. So they're all worth the same. And why do you think Biden is opening the borders? Because all of those illegals coming in are worth several $100 million apiece. So let them in, because they want to tap that money, because they know that they're not going to understand the citizenship and so on. So they're going to do the same thing to them.
And those and basically people are worth more dead than alive.
Correct. So, so when, people pass away or are killed and so on like that through extra potent flu viruses and so on like that are killing people, okay, because they don't have to pay that debt back.
And don't they have insurance policies taken out on everyone too?
Everyone has an insurance policy. So when you die, the government collects on that also. Yeah, they want to get you, coming and going in any way they can.
That's so crazy. Okay, so there's so much there. So basically, we just had a question here. If they're a federal employee, can they still become a U.S. national? And the answer is yes. Do you want to explain that, Dennis?
Yeah, they can become a U.S. national. They cannot become a state citizen, because that would be dual jurisdiction. Because you are a federal employee, you you will still have to pay federal income tax, and you can't be, um, you know, either way. You can't serve two governments at the same time. Okay, you can't serve the federal government and the American state citizens at the same time. It's just a conflict of interest. So, but yeah, you can become an American national, go to work, be the U.S. citizen, and when you come home, you're an American national.
Okay. And so that's interesting. Also, there are a lot of people out there who may have businesses or, how important, okay, because when I was watching your other interview, you were talking about how you shouldn't have an LLC,
Correct.
and that you should make your business a private business.
Exactly. And you don't want to have a 501c or a 508 or a 503c or all the little different alphabetical things that they come out with. Because when you fill out any government forms, especially an LLC, you're giving your business to the government. Then they can come in and close you down for any little virus or any little infraction. They can fine you, they can penalize you, they can throw you in jail. But when you have your own private business, they can't even come through the door.
Very important. And when you're opening your bank accounts and all of that, you want to open your bank account as a private business.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly, because
Okay.
they could, if you didn't and you put it under a public business or anything like that, they can just come in and empty your bank account anytime they want because you belong to them.
And I know that I was listening too that it's advisable for everyone to start looking into banks that are local within your state or credit unions, because those will protect your money much more than work, like say a Wells Fargo or like one of those big banks.
Well, on Anna's call last night, she was talking about the banking system, and that's going to be opening up here real soon. Uh, our own credit unions and our own national banks. And yeah, it'll be there for you and it'll be in lawful money.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm really excited. There's so much that's developing because you've seen a huge influx in people becoming U.S. nationals. Like I
Oh,
would
yeah.
think over the last little like year.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
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 So this is what we need to do, guys. We need to come back in. So it's very clear that not only is it important, guys, that when you do become a U.S. national, you have got to learn your rights. You've got to learn the common law. You've got to know how to stand up for yourself when someone comes and contests what you're saying, whether it's a police officer or whatever it is. You need to know all of that, because if you don't know all of that, you're basically as good as what you know. So it's really important because there is some levels of harassment that U.S. nationals face, because we're not big enough yet to be a force to be reckoned with yet. That doesn't mean that you can't still be protected, but you've got to know how to protect yourself.
Exactly. And then when, if somebody gets in your face and so on, like with the mask situation, you get all these little tattletales because they're scared to death and they don't know what's going on. And, oh, he doesn't wear a mask, I'm calling the police. And then the police come and you could just tell them, hey, I'm totally out of your jurisdiction. They have no say so. Even these stores and so on, they cannot tell customers to, they cannot tell customers to come in and put a mask on. The only ones they could say that to are their employees who they work for in the corporation.
Yeah, yeah. Now, I'd love to talk about this because this is very interesting. This is a hot topic right now, especially with not just the big V out there, but also we talk about these corporations like Monsanto and how they're really doing harm because they're poisoning our food, and what they're trying to do is manipulate our DNA and change our DNA so that they actually own us through their own product and we become a product of Monsanto. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah, they're trying to do all that different things because more and more people are becoming American nationals. So that's why they bring out the COVID to try and change the DNA and so on like that to make them an, another piece of chattel again and a slave because now they own you because they've changed your DNA and they call you a product and they sell you on the market and they do whatever they want to you and you can't do a thing.
Yeah, that's and I never thought of it from that standpoint. That was just that blew my mind, and that's why you need to refuse this stuff so that you don't allow your DNA to be altered and become part of a product of their making. Now, I wanted to know to explain to people because all of our birth certificates are printed on bond paper. Can you explain the significance of that to people?
Yeah, the bond paper basically means that you are becoming a corporation. Okay, because they bond corporations because there's some kind of liability and so on like that. So they put you on bond paper, and that is the um, yeah, that's their way of controlling you.
Yeah. Okay, so we just got a question here. Alara is asking, what do you lose by doing this? We should discuss that too. And we kind of talk like you don't really lose anything, but I know, okay, it's like say someone has disability or they're collecting disability or anything like that. Can you explain that situation?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. The disability is basically like an insurance claim. So if you're hurt at work, you've already been paying into it from your paycheck, disability insurance. Same with unemployment, it's unemployment insurance. So if you're laid off, okay, and you're an American national, you still get your unemployment. Same thing with Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid. That is money that you have paid out through your lifetime and you deserve that. You earned it. You paid into it. You get it.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So, guys, I don't know how to stress this enough. You're going to have to go and really research this, and it's going to be a decision that you ultimately have to make. And I totally understand because when I first heard this, I was like, I don't know, what's the catch? Like, what do I lose? And it's really getting out of the program of enslavement that we've all been under. When the best I can explain it to all of you is when you look at, say, a friend or a family member who's so indoctrinated by the media, but so their TV and what the TV's telling them, and you're like, how do you not get it? If you just shut that off, you would realize that you've been a slave to all of that. It's the same thing. There are layers to this enslavement. And although some of us may think that we're completely free of the programming, we're not. We have to still break through some of this stuff. And so you only gain by coming back home to land and soil jurisdiction. So let's talk about why more people need to come home. What will this do for the country, for people, for this idea of restoring the republic that people are so wanting to do?
Well, because it'll get all of our corporations back up. We won't have to worry about being swindled by different corporations saying this and not doing that. Different countries with their corporations, like years ago, long time ago, when the United States made something, they made it, and it lasted forever. Today, you go buy something, you get out the store door, and it breaks. Okay, and where was it made? Everybody knows. Same old word, China. Okay, because they're doing that the same thing to over there with the crappy merchandise and so on that they sell us. And it's all about the dollar, trying to make as much as you possibly can because there's no responsibility anymore. Nobody cares because they're all in it just to make the money and get things done and keep things moving. So when, the more the merrier with the people of the American nationals, we can change all that, get rid of the corrupt corporations, the corrupt governments, and the corrupt politicians. And we can bring everything back to the way it used to be, where everything is running smoothly and everybody cares and everybody's living in peace and harmony throughout the globe. Can't hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now? Yeah, you can hear me now.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is really important, guys. this is, if you want to see arrests, if you want to see these people taken down, in a sense of for their crimes, okay, and brought to justice, you need to be on the land and soil jurisdiction so we can put it through that court system, because that's the court system that will win. We don't have to, if you try to fight this, fight in their system, you will lose hand over fist. You will lose. It's very difficult to win in their system. It's designed because, like you said, if you're going against a corporation, you're considered a terrorist.
Exactly. And when you go into their courtrooms, it's all rigged for everybody to lose continually. Okay. And they do that to put you in jail, keep you in bondage, keep you broke, keep you working, keep you separated, and keep you from doing anything, enjoying life whatsoever. And it's time to put a stop to all of that. And when they come into our courtrooms, they'll be going to jail for a long time.
Yeah. Now,
the corporations.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So it's important, guys, for all of you in different countries. I would highly suggest you start tuning in every Monday night to Anna's Zoom call so that you can start to understand what's going on. People from other countries are joining in. You will find your connections through even just the chat, but you'll also start to understand what you need to do to reassemble in your own country and how to bring this forth for you and your nation. And remember, because she started that land recording system, all of that applies internationally now, and you all have that option. No matter what anyone else tells you, it's now applicable to you. So it's really important to understand that. We have so much more power than we realize, but we don't get to access it until we go back to land and soil. All right? Very, very important. Now, for all of you, I'm going to assemble a bunch of links. I'm going to put out an email newsletter either tomorrow or Thursday. If you want access to those links, please sign up to my email newsletter. Oh gosh, I don't even know if it's available right now because my website's down. I'm going to link the news right as soon as we're done here. I'm going to link it in the description below, and you will just so I can help you guys out. This is what we need to do. We need to start getting up off our butts and start being active. There's no more waiting. There's no more savior complex. We have to do this. If we don't do it, then we just get ourselves back into the same situation that we're in right now. So it's really important that we come together and we start building the communities, start reaching out to people in your counties, your state, and start coming together and start sharing this information. Guys, share this video. I'm going to put it on Gab TV. If you're not following me on Gab TV, I'm going to put it there, and I'm also going to put it on my BitChute channel just in case anything happens here. So I will put this video up there in case something happens. Dennis, is there anything else that you would like to share with people that you feel is important that we haven't discussed yet for them to understand?
Well, when you first dive into this, you will be learning a lot, and you'll keep on learning and keep on learning and keep on learning. And there's so much information that we didn't know that we need to know. And like you said, share it. Tell everyone. Tell your neighbors. Tell your friends. Tell your relatives. Everyone that you can talk to, because the faster we get it done, the quicker peace and happiness will reign on earth.
Yeah, absolutely. And this really is the new earth, guys. This is the pathway. This is what we're meant to do. This is why we're all here on earth. This is part of our life mission, part of serving humanity. And that's what you do this for. You do this for the love of all, to serve humanity from your heart. This is what it's all about. And this is what we've been preaching and what we've been knowing, whether you've been picking it up through your own meditations, through your own prayers, through your own churches, like whatever your practice is to connect with the Creator. This is what we've been guided to do at this time. And this is the path. To me, this is the most viable and most to me, it's the quickest path that I see, and it's already got structure, it's got good bones, and it's got good people behind it. Everyone who's involved is doing this from their heart, and that's where we all have to come in from and realize that those are the intentions that we have to bring in to this movement. And I can't express to all of you how important it is to share this information, whether it's sharing this video or other things that you find on the websites, share the website links, everything, because there's a lot of movement happening now. It's time to get in. It's time to be part of this. And we've really got to switch into that kind of light warrior status where we work with our minds, we work with our brains, we work with our hearts. That's where all of this is coming from. You have to have the wisdom, you have to have the knowledge, and you have to have the motivation that comes from your heart in order to do this. And with all of that, we'll be successful. And we have a system already in place to collapse the other system because it's criminal. And that's the only reason why we're doing it, because we can't allow for that to go on. So thank you, Dennis, so much for coming on. Maybe we can do this again some other time. I'm sure there's going to be tons of questions. And there's a ton of people that I know that may love to have you on their show. But maybe we'll get a round table going with a bunch of people and
yeah, that'd be great.
Get
be
this
more
out.
than happy. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, keep passing it on. Give Nicole a shout, or Matthew, or any, myself even. Go to the AmericanStatesAssembly.net and the AnnaVonRights.com, and just keep passing the word on, because the faster it happens, the happier everyone will be.
Yeah. And it's amazing, guys, because there is hope. There is a way. There is a path. We just didn't know it was this one. And I'm just so blessed and thankful and grateful that my guidance team, God, everyone just kind of drove me into Sedona and allowed this beautiful serendipitous, synchronistic event to happen with Matthew and I. And Alara was there too. So thank you so much. Thank you guys for all your super chats. I really appreciate it. I'm going to I'm thinking right now, I'm just getting an idea that maybe I could do a Zoom call with all of you guys free in the near future to take you through the website, show you everything, and guide you through it. But again, the best thing that you guys can do right now is get on those Zoom calls every Monday night. Start learning from Anna. She is a wealth of information, and it will blow your mind. You'll be so inspired, and you will know in your heart that this is the path for you. But again, it's going to be a decision that you have to make. All right, guys, I love you so much. Thank you again, Dennis, for coming on the show, and I will be back with you guys next week.
Thanks for having me on.